Welcome to Studio 58A live here at the Jamaica Information Service, our discussion program coming to you live on Facebook. I'm your host, Vaughn Davis. Thank you to everyone joining us online wherever you are around the world. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much for your eyes. And like how we have your attention, do us a favor now. Share this video with a friend or 2 or 5,000 so we can have a very lively discussion. And as you watch, remember to send in your questions and your comments so we can put them to our guest. Now, few government agencies come in for criticism like the Jamaica Customs Agency. People are always complaining about the cost to bring items in, the process for clearing goods, etc. But in my opinion, many of the criticism is imbalanced simply because we don't understand things from the point of view of the agency. And that's what today's program is about. We have with us today CEO of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Mrs. Velma Ricketts Walker. She's here to talk customs costing and processes and the agency's plans heading into the normally busy Christmas period. And also how staff are navigating things amidst the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome into our show, Mrs. Ricketts Walker. Are you there? You are muted. Please unmute so we can hear you.
Oh, thank you, Vaughn. How you doing? How you doing? I'm here. And thank you for inviting us to share with your listeners.
My pleasure. My pleasure to have you in on the program today. Now, Mrs. Ricketts Walker, now let's tackle that question first of all. How do you feel about the public's perception of the customs agency? I mean, as I'm sure you would have heard it before, many persons tend to believe that they pay too much money or the process is cumbersome or this, that, and the third, and they tend to levy a lot of criticism at customs. What is your take on the public's perception of the agency, and how do you use that? How do you feel about it essentially?
All right, thank you, Vaughn. So in terms of the public perception of our wonderful agency, Vaughn.
Absolutely. I believe I receive it.
Is so critical to Jamaica's economic, social development, by nature of its own mandate as it relates to trade facilitation, border protection, and revenue collection. So, it's a very important agency to every single person in Jamaica. If you go anywhere, if you travel, you interact with customs. If you have a parcel through the parcels post, central sorting office, you interact with customs. If you have shipment to clear, you interact with customs. So we do value our role and our impact on Jamaica. That being said, Vaughn, we know that especially in the social media platform and that space, that there are some negative criticism levied at customs, and chief among that is as it relates to duties and taxes that persons pay. And we recognize that a lot of it has to do with the lack of understanding. And so we have been doing a number of programs in terms of awareness to bring to the fore how things are calculated and how their role as it relates to customs, and of course our own role in that way and in that manner. So we know that for our larger business sector, that they understand more because of their own revenue intake, they have the systems and measures in place to be guided properly and to do the necessary consultation. We do a lot of stakeholder consultation here at various sectors, to treat with our private sector, to treat with our border regulatory agency. And we would have, even before COVID, have certain program that is tailored to what we'll say the common man then, so that they understand. And at that time, that program is dubbed Customs Meets the Community, where we have parish engagement, so that we are in the community speaking on critical matters that relates to different persons, just in a way to greater sensitize and build that awareness. Now, because of the feedback, we also recognize that, especially on the social media platform, if somebody's complaining about their duty that they had paid, we cannot go on that platform and discuss that matter, because from a customs perspective, the confidentiality of the taxpayer, the importer, the exporter, is important to us. So what we do is we normally reach out and say, can you speak to us in this platform? The platform being maybe emailing us directly or talk to us while we'll converse with you and explain further, because we want to ensure that we are also playing our part in maintaining the confidentiality of your traded goods and don't
Mhm.
have it exposed in that manner. But it is something that we try to improve on. At this time, we recognize also that, social media is what people are doing a lot, and we are moving aggressively in being more in the space, but in a more organized manner, and with the security needed so that we can interact with the public more. But we thank persons for all their feedback, because every feedback is valid to us. It gives us an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to give effective service.
All right. So I think what persons would benefit from absolutely is a better understanding of exactly how you go about the different pricing mechanisms and so on. Because I think persons just feel like it's arbitrary. They just feel like, you know what, you go there and before you know it, you're paying all this bag of money and you don't really understand why. So can persons have a little better appreciation of what that process is and how it works?
All right. So when you speak of pricing mechanism, customs doesn't.
Right. I understand that. And I just want you to understand what guides how you operate.
Right. So just to make sure that clarity is there, what
Mhm.
we apply the rates of duty as is stated in what is called the common external tariff. Now, the common external tariff is at the tariff that is used by the customs community of CARICOM, as we call it, CARICOM. And so that is a fixed regime. Now, nationally, though, there are duty structure that is set by our own parliament. So what custom does is administer based on the harmonized code for each item that are listed within such tariff, because every traded good has a duty structure assigned to it or affixed to it. So what we do is apply those tariffs. Now, in the context of how things are valued, you bring in an item, the item, there's a cost associated with the item, but for the value for duty is actually, we utilize the cost, insurance, freight. And that is what we use to then apply the necessary duties and taxes associated with the traded item.
All right. So these are essentially these are things that are prescribed by law or prescribed by regulation. So you're not necessarily acting arbitrarily, and people should appreciate that element of it.
Certainly not. Everything we do, the mandate of customs is on a strong and robust legal framework. So everything we do is mandated by law. And the very tax system that we apply is mandated by law. So every item, whether it has import duty, whether the GCT is applicable, whether the environmental levy is applicable, whether the standard compliance fee is applicable, once it is there, it is our mandate to collect the duty. No more, no less.
All right. So to those persons who may feel like the process of clearing goods or the process itself to go and interact with customs to bring your goods from the port back into the country, so on and so forth, is difficult or challenging or just seems a little bit confusing or cumbersome, how do you respond to those persons with that kind of criticism?
You know, we have tried to ensure that the process is as seamless. We continue to put in mechanism to make the process as seamless as possible. One such mechanism that we have implemented since last year and aggressively pushing it is our express clearance program, where in the past, it is the officers of the Jamaica Customs Agency who would have done the declaration for the goods that have come in and for the persons, on behalf of the persons who so wish to clear. What we have done now to make this service more efficient is to allow for the shipping agent, the freight forwarders, the brokers, any third party to effect the clearance procedure, with the start of the process being the declaration process. That now allows for greater time saving and of course cost saving for the persons who come to clear, because we don't want persons to be waiting too long to
Mm-hmm.
effect clearance. Though we operate in a space where there are other players that are involved in the clearance process, not just customs, but we understand as government entity that a lot of onus is on us, and so we take in the lead then to ensure that there is greater efficiency in that way. So we implore, we ask, we beg of
Mm-hmm.
our importing public, those especially who are utilizing the express cargo clearance service, that is really to clear shipment below US $5,000, mainly for the non-commercial or personal shipment on that side, that they utilize the third party. It will allow for less customs intervention in the process and allows greater or seamless clearance in a more efficient way.
Just to remind persons tuning in online that we're here talking with CEO of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Mrs. Velma Ricketts Walker, and we're discussing customs, COVID, and Christmas. So now is the time if you have questions, anything that you want to ask of Ms. Ricketts Walker about customs, bringing things in, cost, duties, all of that. She's right here. Take advantage of the opportunity. Ask her some questions. You never know how often you're going to get the opportunity to talk to the CEO of customs. And if I want to have a whole heap of questions and criticisms and so on, now is the time. She's right here. Take advantage of the opportunity. Now, Ms. Ricketts Walker, one of the things that, from your perspective, apart from maybe the duties and so on, and maybe even so the process itself, what are some of the misconceptions about customs you think the public has in terms of how you operate, and which I suppose affect your ability to deliver service to them? When you go out there and you interact with members of the public, what are some of the things that you're hearing that you need to just let people know that, no, and I really saw it where customs is not quite that kind of agency. And, we're actually working, to the public good, and we're trying to make sure that the relationship between you and your customs is hand in hand. You know what I mean? On the up and up.
I think it's important that our Jamaican, our public, our customers, our clients know that we care, that customs care. I think over the years, because of course we're an entity that have the responsibility to collect duties and taxes, that persons think that that's all we care about. No, we care about you as an individual, that you are getting the efficiency that you need to get. We want persons to know that when we enforce the law, that we have an obligation to do so. And it is important that they understand that. It is also important that they understand that the persons in customs operate with a sense of integrity, and that integrity is also important for our stakeholders, our clients to be mindful of, and that they too have a responsibility to engage in that way as well. So that is very important to us. We also want the public to know that we have been doing a lot as it relates to building out our automation, building out our digitalization, so that we can make things better, especially in light of COVID. Who would have known that all this would have happened? But we have leapfrogged and take advantage of the realities of, transforming our automated processes, transforming in a digitalized way so that we can interact more online and get greater speed with our customers and clients.
So we just have a few questions coming in. I like to bring them in as often as they come. Doreen Everbless Thompson, but I don't think her question is complete. She's saying, good afternoon, what's the percentage tax to? So Doreen, please, if you can, it looks like she sent the she sent the question. I don't know if you can answer it, but let me ask you all the same. Or maybe you can, your team in the background or somebody who works at the agency can put the correct information in below, reply to her comment so that she can get the relevant information. Doreen Everbless Thompson is asking, what's the percentage tax you charge on TVs coming in? I suspect she's saying it costs 240 US. So Miss Walker, hopefully the persons who work in the background can provide that answer. I don't know if you want to answer it as well.
That is 20%, about 20%
Mm-hmm.
for import duty. However, knowing that there are other related taxes that are associated, I spoke earlier of general consumption tax, environmental levy, standard compliance fee. So because of the compounded nature or the aggregate nature of the total taxes and duties, you will normally expect about 43% of the amount paid for the item would be attributable to duties and taxes. So I spoke of the cost, insurance, freight. So once she has that amount, which represent the value for duty, then she can safely multiply that by 43%, and she will get a good approximation of what the overall duties and taxes will be.
All right. We have Wesley Bramwell, who seems to be, one of the persons who has some critic, has some bad review for you, Miss Ricketts Walker. He's saying, "Good morning. Why, when you send a barrel and you pay, you still have to pay more money?" Thank you for. It's a good opportunity to clarify, and for Miss Ricketts to Miss Walker rather, to clarify the perception that maybe, I guess, importing a barrel is a difficult and expensive venture. Address Mr. Bramwell, Miss Walker.
Well, I would need a little bit more clarity, because I'm going to repeat what you said. Why, when you send a barrel, you have to pay more money.
Right.
Right. So it also depends on the content of the barrel. Now, remember that the government would have allowed for a flat fee for barrels being imported, as long as those barrels the content is personal and some amount of household items. Now, if the barrels are consistent with what I just said, then it's only $6,500 that the importer is required to pay. Now, I don't know if the other related cost that he's talking about has to do with the shipping of the items, because remember, you would have brought in that barrel goes to a certain warehouse or terminal. You will have to pay them for the work done there, the service applied to you, so, and the freight associated. So those, I'm not sure if he's mentioning those costs, but from, as long as it is household and personal effects within the barrel, those are 500. If you have commercial item, now that's another matter.
All right. Matthew S., I hope that helps, Wesley. If you have other things that you want to clarify, feel free to send in a question or a comment so we can put it to Ms. Walker. All right. Now, Matthew SB saying, does the Customs Agency have a duty calculator that the public can use?
There is a duty calculator that is online that we would have rolled out last year with a third-party provider, and we encourage persons to utilize same.
All right, great. Renisha Scarlett, she wants to know about the charges for barrel to, which I suspect you just outlined a while ago. But I mean, I guess for her benefit, if you'd like to just go over it once more, repetition is the key to learning. So it's always good to just repeat things for people to hear.
And that's a very reasonable amount, $6,500. That's the government's concession on all imported barrels that has non-commercial, personal, and household effects.
Well, I guess one other, the question that seems to, or the thread that seems to be consistent, based on the comments I'm getting, is that persons want to know, as it seems like many persons are interested in sending barrel at this time, which I suspect is normal at this time of the year.
And we always encourage the public to help out too, because the diaspora a lot of times send a lot to our persons, our Jamaicans here.
Right. So I suspect many persons consistently are asking, the process for clearing the barrel, the costs, and so on and so forth. So we're going to just go back to that every so often in the discussion, so that we can because as we say, repetition is the key to learning, and the more we repeat it, the more persons will be able to appreciate what it is. Okay, Ragik Zionite Sims is asking, is it true that the longer you take to pick up your barrel, the more the cost increases? So
remember that you get service not only from customs, but from the terminal or warehouse to which that barrel is stored. They have their own rules. And so for storage, if you go over and beyond a stipulated time given to you, and your freight forwarder and shipping agent would so advise, then there's a storage cost or storage fee associated. Now,
Mhm.
that has nothing to do with the Jamaica Customs Agency.
Mhm.
That is not a government cost, that's a private sector related cost.
Great
So,
question. We have
so
a
the,
great question coming in
breakdown of
here.
that cost, I'm sorry, I don't have that for you,
Mhm.
but as I said, it's not a Jamaica Customs Agency or a government related cost.
All right, we have a question. We should get the person's name. I want to make sure I get it right. But Anisha Stevens Legister is asking, in light of COVID-19, is there any challenge? Have there been any changes in collecting your barrel in terms of procedures and wait time? Because I would imagine things operate a little bit differently now because you have all the health and safety concerns. You have to make sure that everything operates, smoothly. So what can persons expect if they come to clear at this time?
One would appreciate that the Jamaica Customs have to enforce the government anti-COVID measures and protocols. So with regards to the whole gathering arrangement, the social distancing, now we want to ensure that persons are not exposed to the virus. And so I urge persons, utilize what I called earlier the express cargo clearance program, where you will then ask your the persons who are involved in the movement of the good for you, be it your shipping agent, be it the freight forwarder, or a customs broker, or the terminal operator or warehouse operator, to clear the goods on your behalf. So everything can be done online. You give them the authority to do so, and they will submit your documentation and that the payment as agreed by you, and you can receive your bar. You can come and receive your package, or they can also deliver to you. That is not a customs responsibility, but what I'm saying is that the service is there. Utilize it to
Mhm.
minimize your risk and exposure. We want you to be around to continue to receive the service, but also, we want to know that you are able to contribute to national development. And you know what I mean when I say contribute to national development. However small that duties and taxes that you pay, know that it contributes to national development.
All right, fantastic. Now, in terms of your employees and the workers themselves, talk to me about the measures that have been put in place to ensure that those persons are able to, do their work and function properly. Because I would imagine persons may feel like, okay, if these persons are handling the cargo, handling the so on, handling the different items which come through the department, maybe there's a slight health concern there. But so how do you respond to that?
So, let me just take this opportunity to say thank you to the men and women of this organization, because during this COVID time, they have remained resilient. They have remained committed and determined to carry out the role and the mandate that we have. Now, remember, we are considered frontline workers, right? And as a result of that, with the movement of passengers, with the movement of traded goods, the exposure to us is very real. It's clear and present. And what do we do at customs? Of course, we have to ensure that the related protective gears, personal protective gears, are there for them. So when you talk about the masks, gloves, sanitizing apparatus, they have them. Every single staff, especially staff who have to interact with the public, are equipped with these items. And of course, the continued training and awareness so that they understand how to utilize, how to ensure, and to ensure that they are keeping themselves safe while keeping our customers and clients safe as well. We ensure that there are training sessions, there are awareness programs to keep them fully aware of what is happening, and continue our own enforcement of the rules so that we all remain safe during this time.
All right, fantastic. Good to know that you're keeping yourself safe and keeping the public safe at the same time. All right, let
But
me.
importantly, Vaughn, is that
Mhm.
also what helps us is the online impact that we have taken, because what we would have done is move a lot of processes online. So certain processes that would involve face to face now is online, right? What happens now is that if you want to speak with a supervisor, let's say in the validation verification unit, you book online and you do it online on the
Mhm.
phone. So we create these avenues so that persons are able to still conduct business, but do it in a much safer way, and also say more efficient way.
All right. Sounds good to me. I mean, more we can shift some of our operations virtually. That increases the ease of doing business and making it much easier for the public to come and do business with the government. Don't have to come, join long lines, spend the whole half day, that kind of thing. You can just schedule your appointments and then know what time to come and do specific things, so you can be more efficient and effective
Certainly,
with your time. Now,
certainly.
question coming in consistently. One from Natisha Reed Dixon, and again from um, Doreen Everbless Thompson, has to do with the minimum. Well, it says at present, Natisha Reed Dixon's question is that at present, no duties are charged on imports costing US $50 and below. Is there any plan to increase this amount to even $100? And a similar question was asked by Doreen Everbless Thompson. So, I mean, can you answer that question essentially?
So what Doreen Everblessed and others are speaking about or asking about is the de minimis, and that is as she would have rightly stated, the value to which no duties and taxes are applied.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also want to mention that the Jamaica Customs Agency is aware, and because also know that we are consumers too.
Right.
So we are consumers too. So we are certainly aware that within this year, there was a petition on the Office of the Prime Minister's website for the increase of the de minimis value. Now, we also know that the government and the Ministry of Finance is reviewing this matter, but has not provided the Jamaica Customs Agency with a policy directive. So we don't know whether or not this amount, the 50 US dollar, will increase, or what the amount it will be increased by, or whether or not it will remain at the $50. So we are awaiting feedback from the ministry and the office of the prime minister in that matter. But this is a matter to which customs doesn't have the role to give any information, because what we do is really enforce and administer the instruction as it relates to the duties and taxes.
All right. So once again, in this one, insofar as that is concerned, or the de minimis cost, you are essentially creatures of the government in that you enforce whatever regulation or stipulation comes down from the parent ministry or parent organization. So in which case, I suppose that the ball is really in the court of the public to lobby and put a lot of lobby and let the government know that this is what you want, and that if you can make enough credible representation, that they must take it into consideration.
But Vaughn, they did lobby, and so
Mhm.
what I will ask is for their own patience while the ministry and of course the rest of the government review the matter and provide a response.
All right. So based on some of the comments that are coming in, what I'm seeing is that it seems many persons just think things are expensive. It's just like Mr. Bramwell, Wesley Bramwell, is saying he had a friend send a barrel full of school supplies to help out kids who can't buy things, and after paying customs, he still had to pay because of the bags and the books that were in the barrel. And saw another comment. Let me just make sure. Right. Mr. Bramwell again seems to be having that's his primary concern, saying he's in Houston, Texas, and sent a barrel of food for his mother, just food, and she paid over 100 US. That was just food. he paid for in the barrel to go to Jamaica. And it just seems like he's expressing the concern that the process or the interacting with customs is an expensive or costly venture. No, I suppose I would like you to react to that. How do you how do you address the perception or so on that customs is just exorbitant or it's just too costly, right? Persons might feel like it's just expensive. So talk to me about that.
Well, as indicated before, Vaughn, we applied the duties and taxes as applicable. Now, what persons need to understand is quite possibly how the breakdown of taxes work within the Jamaica Customs context. But as the individual spoke about it, that he would have sent a barrel with just food.
Mm-hmm.
As stated before, the flat fee for barrel, once it is non-commercial, and it is only non-commercial, it is a 6,500. A lot of persons, what they do is they put together aggregately all the related fees and charges that they pay. Outside of that 6,500, they might also include what they pay to their freight forwarder, what they pay to the shipping agent, what they pay to the warehouse that is storing the goods. So they compound it and everything becomes one customs fee to them, but that's not it. That's not, because I think the government has been very generous with this $6,500 flat fee over the years that it has given as a concession to the trading public. As it relates to the valuation of item, bearing in mind again that it is on the cost insurance freight, we apply as indicated to you that we are, we're legally based, but also we have international agreements that we are obligated to satisfy. And one of those is the World Trade Organization Valuation Agreement, to which we are signatories to. And that is the measure to which we apply our valuation system. We are not arbitrary in the process that we use. As long as you bring to us your correct invoice with all the supporting information, then the duties and taxes would be appropriately assigned per the items.
All right. So once again, people as Ms. Walker is explaining, customs is a creature of the government and enforces the stipulations that are outlined by parent ministry, parent organizations, and so on. So, it may very well be, it just requires a little more understanding of how customs itself operates and the various fees and so on it imposes based on its specific mandate and so on. And in many cases, there may very well be some misunderstanding. You might see what you see as the final bill is pretty exorbitant, but that's not when you factor in the different agencies or the different actors who play a part in the process. You know what I mean? You have the persons who clear the goods. I mean, I'm sure Ms. Walker is better able to detail the different participants in the process, but at the end of the day, it may very well be that customs only has a small part. And they're charged based on their part, and then the whole process itself is very expensive, and that can be a turnoff. But it may very well be just more consideration is needed to appreciate the different role that customs plays and the way it works on your behalf. Correct, Ms. Walker?
That is true. But what I would also want the persons to do is to focus on the declaration that is submitted on their behalf. Mm-hmm. We call it here an administrative document. However, commonly known as an entry or a customs declaration, especially for commercial trading good, but also for non-commercial, you have the simplified declaration. Now we want them to focus on what that declaration says, because it normally itemizes all the items. It put the tariff there, the assigned tariff, and it tells you the rate of duty and the related taxes and fees associated. And that is always broken out with very explicit clarity for persons to understand. So I want them to pay keen attention as to what is on that declaration for payment.
So one thing I'd like to ask you, Ms. Walker, I believe it's always a two-way streak. So even as persons are hoping that customs itself makes adjustments and makes itself more available or more accessible to them, in terms of your relationship with customers and so on, is there anything that you'd like to see more of coming from the customers themselves to make the process more easy or efficient on your end?
Well, we always encourage our customers, our clients to give us their feedback. On our website, we have a customs relationship feedback form. And that is a form that allows for persons to give us general information, persons to give us intelligence, persons to give us information to, to integrity related issue or the lack thereof, so that we can, use this information and greater inform ourselves and make the necessary changes to ensure that we have greater efficiency and to continue to serve the persons better. Our motto says country above self, and we are very committed to it, extremely committed to the motto, because customs is indeed a service organization, and we continue to push service so that we can have greater value to our traded public, our clients, our customers. But importantly, our role when we speak about border protection, a lot of times persons come and they're speaking about the revenues, but importantly, we are ensuring that we are protecting the borders through illegally traded goods that can harm the health of the citizens, trying to restrict drugs and ammunition, illegal drugs and ammunition from coming into the country. So we have a key role to play, and we are very proud of it. We continue to make sure that we improve in our skill sets, in our knowledge, and in how we interact and engage so that we can continue to serve this country in an awesome way. And so we thank your listeners, the public, for the role that they have been playing. And though the criticism sometimes can be harsh, we welcome them because we want to know what is happening and want to improve on it.
All right. Just to make sure that we get persons involved and so on. And Kayan, who's asking, I think she may have just tuned in because this is something we've been discussing as the program has gone on. But just to let you know again, just to give you an idea of the kind of comments that are coming in, Kayan is saying the whole customs process seems very unpredictable and stressful. What is being done to make it more predictable? All right. And before I give you a chance to answer that, we're going to move to that. But I have a question here from Toya Hines, which seems very relevant. She's asking, what are the steps in disputing total charges or reporting any suspicious charges at customs?
Okay, so I thank her so much for that question, because we believe in transparency and objectivity. And there is a mechanism for persons to appeal. Appeal. All you need to do is there is a mechanism online, but you can also email providing your documentation, your supporting document, and appeal. And I promise you that persons who appeal would have gotten their fair response. Now, if it is that customs, if you are not satisfied with customs decision on the appeal, you can even take it to the Revenue Appeals Department, because there are layers of intervention there to ensure that you are treated fairly and justly.
All right, so there's recourse essentially.
Exactly.
There is recourse.
Okay. You mentioned about predictability.
Right.
So again, we continue to improve on our systems. Now, predictability and transparency is key to trade facilitation. And we do that through ensuring that the process is simplified, ensure that the documentation that we utilize is easy to use and is simplified. And that we have been doing. Simplification, predictability is also important. And what we do is try to improve on the automation, as was mentioned earlier. So one of the things, though, is that, customs is within a space that involves a number of other players. So it is important to find out from the persons who ask whether or not it is when they are at customs proper that they're having the problem, or when they enter the port or the terminal or the warehouse, because they will have to go through a number of steps before they actually interact with customs. But once you reach on the customs side, that process is normally simpler. Now, you may not want for your goods to be examined fully, but understand that that examination is only to protect you as well, because we would want to ensure that there's nothing that is in that shipment that is not good for the society, that is not good for persons' health, that is of a dangerous item. And remember, you would have, let's say, for instance, a barrel. Yes, you might have been the one who packed the barrel, but that barrel crossing waters and would have been interacting with other players. You don't know what would have happened. And so we apply non-intrusive inspection. And when there's a need for further inspection, then the physical inspection comes into play, where our officers would go and do their necessary inspection. But when the question asks about predictability, we also utilize risk management and continue to utilize risk management in how we deploy our resources, but also how we treat with the customs intervention, whether it be for greater physical inspection, greater documentary inspection, or the lack thereof or none thereof. Because we do have certain commercial importers who would have benefited from little or no inspection by customs, or little or no intervention by customs. And these are economic operators that we call authorized economic operators, who would have justified to us that their supply chain is secured.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you have to do the necessary due diligence to make sure that, I mean, you know, a lot of the things that people believe, which is why I definitely wanted to have this conversation with you like this, because like I said, the conversation about the customs and how customs operates does need to benefit from, you know, a look at both sides of the story. We know that there are a lot of things that persons from the public perspective may seem inconvenient, expensive, even annoying. But there's method to the madness 9 times out of 10. And if we took the opportunity to hear what customs does, why they do what they do, I'm sure there would be a little more appreciation of the different work and what goes into making sure that they can receive their goods easily, or, you know, make sure they receive their goods in one piece, and so on and so forth. So I'm very glad that you're taking the opportunity to, in such a detailed and you know, detailed way, let persons appreciate what the processes involved in clearing a barrel are. And while we mentioned the word barrel, and like I said, repetition is the key to learning. So one more time for persons coming in who are planning to bring things down this Christmas and so, or maybe send things up or interact with customs at this Christmas, how do they clear a barrel? What's the process? How much it costs, etc., etc.?
So as I mentioned before, let me start with the cost first. If the items in the barrel is non-commercial, personal, preferably normally household or personal effects, then the government would have established a flat fee of 6,500 to effect clearance on that barrel. Remember though, that 6,500 is the customs related aspect. You would have had to interact with your shipping agent or your freight forwarder, or the terminal or warehouse to which your barrel is stored. And you would have to have been invited or given a notification by your shipping agent to indicate to you that your barrel has now landed and it is ready for, there's a term that is used, stripping or for clearance. Now, once you get that notification, I urge you, I implore you, I beg of you, ask your shipping agent or your freight forwarder, warehouse operator, terminal operator, that you wish to utilize the express cargo clearance program. Tell them, I do not want to interact with customs. I know that customs as a facility that offers me clearance, and I do not necessarily need to be involved in that process. And it allows me the opportunity to clear without with achieving greater cost saving and time saving. So ask them to utilize that program. Technically, what it means is that you are giving them the authority to effect the declaration on your behalf and subsequent clearance on your behalf as well. So I ask them to utilize that opportunity for me, please, or that facility.
Quick question coming from Janice Dreckett. Thank you, Janice. I don't think it works quite the way you want. Janice is saying, can I bring some tables and laptops to give away in my community and not be charged? And if yes, how much am I allowed? Well, I know it probably doesn't quite work like that, but it does raise the question of, I suspect there are persons who may be bringing things in through charities and stuff like that. So talk to me about that process. I suppose many persons may be under the impression that once you operate as a quote unquote charity, then things are a little bit different. Explain to me how that process works.
So, the Jamaica Customs Agency has been reaching out to different areas, whether through the media, print, otherwise, and even in the social media platform, trying to ensure that the public have an understanding of what charity is in the context of the concession that is allowed by government.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we thank the diaspora, we thank our Jamaicans who always want to donate, and that's the true spirit of our Jamaicans. But we also implore them to use the correct avenue, because a number of times people import or send their shipments here, and indeed they say it is for donated or donation or for charitable purposes, and why is it they need to pay duties?
Mm-hmm.
Now, duties will come in if you are bringing your goods, but you are not bringing in it as a registered charity. You have to be a registered charity, and the intent and purpose of the goods must be for charitable reasons. Now, how do you become a registered charity? It is not with the Jamaica Customs Agency, it is with the Department of Friendly and Corporate Society. They are the ones responsible for registering entities as charity. Now, if it is that you are not a charity, you're not a registered charity, however, your intention is to bring in goods, then you need to align yourself with a registered charity and find out if they're able to allow you as an individual who wish to donate to utilize their charity for that purpose. But once you utilize their charity, then the goods would have to be used for the charity's purpose, right? Because with everything, there's checks and balance. This is a concession that government is doing. These charities are also audited to ensure that they would have utilized the product in the manner to which they say they would have imported it in.
Right. So, and let's talk once again to let persons.
Yeah, if it is that you're bringing in goods for charitable reasons, you need to ensure that it is being done through a registered charity, and that the goods so imported are for donation, are for charitable purposes, and are for the purpose of the charity to which you are bringing in that goods for. So if it is for school, you can't then put it for something else. Okay?
Right. It's very important that we raised that issue, because this is Christmas and this is when a lot of items come in for charitable donations and persons doing treats and so on and giving back to communities in various ways. And I suspect this is a comment or a criticism that you're going to get. I suppose raises our peaks at around this time of the year, because persons bring in stuff and they feel like they should be able to just bring some Christmas cheer and give it out and so on and so forth. But it's very important that persons know that there are rules, regulations, and guidelines, even as they try to bring things in for charitable purposes, right?
Very well. And just to note that the officers don't have those discretion to say, because you indicate that, well, it's for charity, that the officer will say, okay, since it's for charity, I am going to allow you to clear without paying duty. No, as I indicated, we have a legal construct to how we operate. And even within the system, the customs automated management system, what we popularly call ASICUDO, everything is set out within that system. So once you come in as a charity, your TRN is noted in the system. The goods that you're bringing in is also noted in the system. And then the system will do the necessary concession. So the officer, doesn't have that discretion. So even if you come and you speak at length to the officer cannot do anything, because what is there is the actual records, both your record that you provide and the record that is in the system, by way of ensuring that there is proper adherence to the law as so prescribed.
Right. And just for repeating, the agency to which you go if you are planning on starting a charity, having it registered with the government, etc., is the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies. Contact them and they can walk you through the process. Make sure that you set up your charity properly so that when you do want to bring things in, you do so legally and everything will be above board when the time comes. Well, Miss Walker, I think we've...
Well, it's not like they're not bringing in their goods legally.
No, I mean, let's make sure that everything is above board.
Yeah, if they're not aligned to the charity or not a charity themselves, then they can't get the waiver or the concession associated with a charity.
Absolutely right. Well, Miss Walker, I think we've discussed so many things. We've covered a lot of areas. I'm going to give you the last word just to let persons just talk to persons, let them know what's going on with customs in the Christmas and going forward and so on. Just quickly, Damian Bird is saying hi, Velma. I don't know if you know Damian. Damian is being here.
I know him. He was a former staff here. Hi, Damian.
All right, great. Janice Dreckett. She's thanking us for highlighting our question. Thank you for sending in a question. We really appreciate it. Like we said, we love it when persons take advantage of the opportunity to talk to the persons in charge of the various government agencies and so on. So we thank you. This is really, the show is for you guys to connect the dots and make sure that you're able to get in contact and understand what's going on and, get to appreciate how our state agencies work, so that there's better appreciation and, more importantly, better understanding. So we don't just quick to cuss and get bad and get vexed and so on when things not working our way. We can understand that things are happening behind the scenes and so on and so forth, right? All right. Wesley Bromwell again. I think that's why Jamaica like me, who are willing to help, find it so hard. We'd like to be a better way to help people who cannot help themselves. And I'm sure we all appreciate that, Wesley. And things obviously can always do better and things can always improve. Things can always go forward and so on. And we hope that, having heard the feedback and so on, Miss Walker will take this back and they'll examine, assess, and so on, and make the necessary changes and so on. All right. So we're glad that you were able to send in your questions because, like we said, this is the show for you guys to go in contact with our state actors and get some understanding and make things, hopefully, we benefit and things go better from here. All right. Thank you again. Like I said, Miss Walker, the last word to you, just talk to the people about customs, just going on the Christmas and beyond, and just let persons know that, customs is really there working on their behalf.
All right, so thank you again, Vaughn, and thanks to all the persons who would have sent their question and to just give me this opportunity to engage and connect with you. I appreciate it. The agency appreciate it so much. Knowing also that Jamaica Customs Agency is a service-oriented organization with one of its key role is to meet the mandate or meet the expectation of the society and businesses. So we are here to serve you. We care, and we want to know that, that information is out there. As it relates to the Christmas, we know that it's our peak period here at Customs, and we are always ready for it. We would have longer working hours, of course, with our partner, terminal and warehouse operator, working together, even onto the weekends going on within this month. We have established those extended working hours to facilitate persons to be able to clear their goods properly. We have, done a necessary redeployment of our staff members so that they are at the various areas in their numbers to give speed for the clearance process. We continue to increase the use of risk management here. Risk management is big for us, and we continue to utilize it so that we can have greater predictability, greater transparency, greater objectivity in our process, but more more pushing towards automation and a greater service delivery. We continue to increase the collaboration with our partners, with our stakeholders, with the private sector, with the border regulatory agencies, and also increasing the public awareness to all our importers or exporters so that they can have a clearance experience. Important to us is the customer experience, and we are working tremendously. So, because we want big, good reviews, and I'm asking your listenership and your viewers to make sure that when they get good service to speak about it, because we want to hear it as well. Okay, we have a lot of different facilitation for payment because of course we are a revenue collection entity, and so we want it to be easier for persons to make sure that they are able to pay with us, so we utilize of course the online mechanism modality as best as possible, and we would have been doing a lot as it relates to rolling out different services so that persons can have a ease of doing business with us. So we continue to do that. And importantly, we want to hear from you further as we continue to improve our services so that we can meet your needs and your expectations.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that last quick comment from Wesley Brahma. Says, thanks for your time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. I pray that we can get some of the red tape cut so more people can be helped. Thank you for your comment, Wesley. Really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm sure Miss Walker appreciates it as well and appreciates that you're so concerned and you have a lot to say. That's important. Don't ever lose that. It's important to let persons, we don't operate in silos and it's not just one big monolith and you just shout at it and nothing happens and nothing changes. If you speak to it, it's responsive. People are actually here to hear. Remember that the government is staffed by people just like you. Miss Walker is a person just like you. She wants to go to her work and do a good job and make sure that the people who she's serving are satisfied with her service, right? So the more you engage, the more you speak, the more you talk to her, is the more things can change and improve, right? So the ball is really in the court of you, our audience and our listeners, to interact with our people, interact with Miss Walker, interact with the different customs actors so that the things can change and things can improve. Not true, Miss Walker?
Certainly, certainly. And I want all of our Jamaicans here and abroad to just be safe at this time and just observe the COVID measures. So we keep not only ourselves safe, but persons around us safe at this time.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. And I think on that note, it's time for us to wrap. Thank you to everyone who tuned into our discussion, especially those of you who sent in your questions and your comments. We really appreciate those. And if you have a question and we didn't get to it, or you feel like you have something you want to address, don't worry. Put it in the comments. We'll be able to go through afterwards and we can get in touch with Ms. Walker and hopefully get you the right information. All right. Remember, our audience plays a major part in our show. And if there's anyone in particular you'd like us to have in studio, let us know so we can have that person in studio as soon as possible. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Information Service to see who will be in studio next. And while you're at it, you can check out Customs too. I'm sure they're there on all the different platforms and so on. You can follow them and hear what new is going on with Customs. We do this every week live on Facebook. I've been your host, Vaughn Davis, and this has been Studio 58A Live. Thank you very much for joining us, and please have a wonderful day. Take care. Wonderful holiday, actually. Take care.